You know why you didn't see that sign? Cause it ain't there, cause storing dead niggers ain't my fucking business, that's why!
Hey everybody, we finally got around to seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We actually saw it first day, both of us, but I fell asleep 45 minutes from the end, so
I've now seen it 3 times.
I think we're qualified to talk about it now. So, Aiden, what is the plot of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Quentin Tortellini's 9th movie.
The movie is a series of different plots running at the same time. There's, part of the movie is focused on Sharon Tate, the real-life actress who was murdered by the Manson family, doing her daily stuff.
Chilling out. Yeah.
And then there are 2 struggling kind of has-been actors.
Has-been actor and has-been stuntman. Can you remember their names?
It's Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. I know names.
You're
And
terrible at remembering names for these. That's
I'm
what
usually pretty bad
Yeah.
at it. Cliff is trying to find a role to save his career because he feels like a has-been and struggles with growing old in Hollywood. Cliff has pretty much given up on being a stuntman and just likes hanging out with his pal. And then a whole lot of not much happens, and then Cliff BTFOs the Mansons at the end. That pretty much wraps it up. Does he have anything I missed, you know?
That's pretty much it. He blows the Mansons the fuck out.
So Connor, what'd you think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I thought it was a pretty good movie, like all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, or most of them. There was, I don't know, I thought the end was kind of crazy, and I didn't really know what to think about it at first, with him killing the Manson family.
It was a twist.
It was a twist,
On
and
real
it was
life.
bizarre. I thought Rick Dalton and Cliff were pretty good. I thought the characters were both really fun. I really liked Cliff. Brad Pitt was great in this movie.
Cliff is the best
Leonardo
character by far.
DiCaprio was pretty great too, but I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. Cliff's lifestyle is just just kind of gonna live the way I live, kind of like a no purpose, going around person.
He pretty much just lives to be Rick's, friend, really. That's his
Pretty
entire
much
purpose
it,
in
yeah.
life. He drives him around, he fixes antenna, he drinks beer with him, and that's all he needs and wants.
Stunt double, repairman, friend. That's pretty much it. And, this movie is less eventful than most Quentin Tarantino movies. A lot of them are kind of a slow burn. You watch most of them and they're 3 hours, but there's usually intercut, short little horrible violent moments to cut through. Unless you're Kill Bill, it's pretty much somewhat slow.
Yeah.
Once in a while shit really hits the fan. This movie is incredibly slow, but the characters are, you should put some body wash on that dirty ass tin of yours.
I did.
Sure.
Okay, whatever. Fucking dumbass. Okay, anyway.
I thought it was your phone. I was like, damn, harsh. That sounds like a screen cracker. It's fine, but whatever. But, yeah, no, it's fun watching Rick Dalton and Cliff interact. They have a cool dynamic. I think the characters are really interesting, so even though the movie's 2 hours and 30 minutes or whatever, it definitely doesn't feel its length, and it's definitely entertaining despite not having the Quentin Tarantino constant violence. It did have constant feet fetish.
There's a lot of feet in it.
There's a lot of feet in
There's
this
a
one.
lot of fucking feet. There's feet all over
I
the
don't know
place.
about, like,
Always
that
dirty.
level.
No matter what the situation was, the feet
Yeah.
were fucking filthy.
Not to get on this
Doesn't
deep
even
rant,
make
but,
sense that...
like, Margot Robbie's in her showers,
Well, in the
lays
movie
around
theater,
the house.
she
and
wears
then-
her shoes around, she
Well,
gets
here's
to the
the
theater.
course of the day, because we see her whole day. She wakes up in bed, and her feet are clean. Presumably, she just, like, sits around the house all day. It's probably a clean house. They got maids and shit. They're
Yeah, she
rich.
was just dancing in the house for a little bit.
And then she puts on her boots, goes out to the movie theater, whips her boots off for no reason, and they're her dirty fucking feet. Makes no sense.
Filthy.
Do you think Quentin Tarantino
The hippie
is, like,
girl's feet
throwing
were very
dust?
dirty too, but at least that is...
That makes sense, like,
Reasonable.
because she's a barefoot hippie walking around,
Yeah.
probably doing shit all day now. You know, that'll happen. But Margot Robbie's makes no sense. That was a conscious decision, probably. Because she was otherwise clean looking, but that's off topic. I think Grindhouse has more feats in it anyways. I don't know, I didn't even watch the entirety of Grindhouse, so unless it's like stopped on the feats shit where I got to, but I doubt it because I think the first like 30 minutes or whatever, and granted I saw it pretty drunk, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of feats in that one. At least more time on screen feats.
Here's the real question. Do you think Cliff killed his wife?
Yes. I don't know. I don't think it really matters.
No,
But
it doesn't.
obviously
I
it's
just think it's
strongly
fun to think
implied.
about.
I think it is implied that he did kill his wife.
I think it's supposed to be a joke about the Natalie Wood thing, because they say that his wife's name was Natalie.
I mean, it
the
probably
whole-
was. There's a lot of
you know.
inside winks, wink, wink type of shit, and Natalie Wood was killed by her husband, so...
Allegedly. You can't prove that, Connor.
I think almost nobody
Slander.
actually tries to, like, I feel like if you compare the cases, more people would deny 9/11 than,
Probably.
because, like,
But Christopher Walken...
I'm a 9/11 denier.
Christopher Walken was in Click. How could he be a bad guy?
I don't know. I mean, he's done too many Adam Sandler movies to be a bad guy. I mean, I'm not saying that he was directly involved. So I'm sure he just sat there and like was like, the fuck? But then he just didn't want to do anything. Yeah.
Natalie Wood's getting beaten the fuck up,
Well, I
tossed
don't think she
overboard,
was-
and he's
yeah,
like,
whatever.
"The fuck?"
I'm pretty sure she was just drugged and thrown overboard. Like he like lumbers out there and tosses her overboard.
Her body was a little too wrecked by the water to tell, but there's a little bit of evidence that says she was beat pretty thoroughly beforehand.
Yeah. Maybe she was beat and fell in
Allegedly.
and nobody saved her. You know.
Please don't sue me, Christopher. Please don't use your magic remote to rewind me into being a fetus again or something.
Yeah, Christopher Walken is gonna be like, I'm just gonna log on to YouTube. This is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
Christopher
review with
Walken.
8 views.
Christopher Walken is one of our 500 subscribers.
But like 8 viewers
Yeah.
now, but I'm gonna make 9.
All 4 members of Green Day.
Why?
Because they like our videos. We really speak to Billy Joel. What's the guy's name? Billy Joel? Something like
No,
that.
Billy Joel is
Billy Joel Armstrong?
Something Armstrong, yeah. I don't fucking know anything about Green Day. Why do you
I don't
expect me
either.
to know anything about Green Day? Why Green Day though?
Because you have green hair.
Yeah. If I had a camera, maybe the joke would make sense. You're a comedic genius over here.
I thank you. I try.
No, it was good. I thought it was fun watching him like record the scene and stuff for the Western show. I thought it was weird when they inserted him into what was that movie?
The Great Escape.
The Great Escape. I don't know. I couldn't think of it for a second. Although I did think it was kind of jarring in the whole movie theater scene was weird. First off, you could tell it was the real Sharon Tate in the footage when it wasn't, when Margot Robbie was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like 10 or 15 minutes after the scene where he's in The Great Escape, where Rick Dalton's in The Great Escape, so you figure they're going to just like impose Margot Robbie in there, so you're kind of looking at it and you're like, no, that's just the real Sharon Tate. I've never seen the movie that they're referring to because it's some sort of boomer movie.
It's
boomer
older than
detective
Boomer.
movie.
It's a little older than Boomer.
Well, 1969 is when the movie came out, so. Right,
I mean, I guess, but Boomers
60s.
kind of would have been kids then.
Boomers would have been like 24. They would have been like our age. You think they were like, oh, this movie's too scary for me. Dean Martin's scary man.
I'm not saying too scary. I'm just saying it.
They wouldn't be allowed, their parents. In 1969, they're like, I know you're 25. Let me think of a boomer name. I know you're 25, Judy, but that Dean Martin character,
Judy.
he's a devil
That's the
worshiper.
best one.
Junie. Barbara June Ann.
Yeah, Barbara's a good one.
Barbara Ann.
Pam.
Pamela, yeah. Regardless, you know, I think it's ridiculous to assume that this fucking... So, whatever,
Okay.
boomer movie. It's a boomer
Right,
movie.
it's a boomer movie.
It's a boomer
It can
movie.
be a boomer movie.
What is a boomer movie then, if not that? Star Wars? That's even...
No, that's a little after Boomer.
Then what the fuck type of years were boomers watching movies?
Boomers didn't watch movies. They just crashed the economy into the ground and masturbated to
Vietnam.
like Jane Fonda. They watched MASH all
listened-
day. They just woke up and
MASH was fucking older than that movie, dude.
They woke up and watched MASH all day and then went to bed.
And then when Raymond came out, when shit got real. A show that could truly relate to boomers, like Raymond, only happens once in a lifetime.
Yeah, it's a boomer show, alright.
I bet they wake up at the fucking geriatric comes now, and it's
Well,
like,
fucking
"We want Raymond."
everybody
And
loved
they're like,
Raymond's.
"This is
It's
not
one
even
of like the
29
5
anymore."
DVDs Grandma and Grandpa own. It's like 4 copies of Christmas Vacation and the complete box set of Everybody Loves
It's
Raymond.
not the complete box set. They have 5 separate seasons of Raymond. But regardless, boomer ass movie. I found that scene jarring because it was right
Yeah, it was
after
a
the
little bit
Leonardo
jarring.
DiCaprio thing. But on top of that, and then you're like watching it, you're like, that's not Margot Robbie. But then you're like, is it more respectful that they did it that way? But then you're like, 3 scenes ago, Leonardo DiCaprio was playing Steve McQueen's character.
He wasn't
But I
playing
guess that
Steve
was
McQueen,
the
though.
thing.
He was...
Yeah. So it was kind of odd to me at first.
don't
I
think
also
there's a
thought it
good
was kind
answer.
of jarring when it flashed back and I'd see Margot Robbie's dirty feet, and I was like, oh. Yeah, that scene was kind of like, the second time I watched it, I kind of cringed on my way into when the movie theater scene started to start. I was like, here we go. Here it is.
I guess
But, yeah.
The Great Escape was probably supposed to be payoff for the original ending, where Steve McQueen was more important.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we'll probably...
I think like the Bruce Lee stuff too was supposed to be payoff for the original ending.
I'm guessing we're probably going to see a lot more Steve McQueen and Bruce Lee in the extended Netflix cut that's coming out.
Oh, it's another Netflix one.
It's supposed to be 3.5 hours long.
The Hateful Eight's like 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I wonder if they'll restore the original ending for the extended cut.
Yeah, well,
Be
the
interesting.
viewers have no context to what the extended cut is.
Oh, sure.
The original ending.
The original ending for the movie, apparently, according to what I've read, Curtis, you're going to hurt yourself. The original ending of the movie was supposed to be Rick Dalton, Cliff Booth, Sharon Tate, Steve McQueen, and Bruce Lee arming up and then raiding the Manson family compound and blowing their heads off Django Unchained style. So, yeah, that's something that you might see eventually on Netflix,
Yeah,
apparently.
that'd be interesting.
Certainly would.
So Aiden, what did you think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I loved it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It reminds me a lot of Hail Caesar, which was a Coen's brother movie that came out in 2015. I saw it in the theaters with Paul. Hail Caesar was also a Hollywood nostalgia movie, but it was far less focused, which is kind of surprising because this movie already feels kind of unfocused with like long drawn out scenes of Sharon Tate doing nothing. Hail Caesar was that times like 10. I kind of like the comfy atmosphere of it, and I especially like seeing Cliff and Rick just be pals, and I think there's something nice about their friendship and just the atmosphere of the movie. The ending really catches you off guard. You should probably know a little bit about the Manson family before you go into this movie, because if you don't, I don't know how you'd put any sense to what happens at the end, because they basically just brutally murder some home invaders who haven't technically done anything wrong. Like, it's kind of weird because the audience knows from real life that they killed a bunch of innocent people, but in the terms of the movie, they technically haven't done anything besides break into some people's homes, and their punishment for that is getting horribly mutilated and
they held them at
getting their skulls crushed. And
let's be honest. You're in a fucking red pill based society, you know? If I had some dude breaking in my house with a knife and I had a gun handy, I'd blast that motherfucker to smithereens.
Yeah, but would you grab them by the hair and bash their skull
if
into
I
a
had the
stone
opportunity
fireplace
and I
until
didn't
their
have
skull
weapons?
was turned into a fucking
It was
bone?
an overkill, but you gotta keep in mind this dude's a psycho, which was implied by him maybe killing his wife.
I know.
And it's a fucking movie, who cares?
No, I know. I'm just saying, in context of the movie, it's a little bit strange.
Plus, there's a good payoff to Rick Dalton's flamethrower.
Yes, that was good setup.
Burn the fucking...
The flamethrower
Asian
thing
lady.
seems like a dumb start a movie gag, and then it actually comes back and becomes a thing. And it's stupid and wonderful. I like it a lot. And yeah, I mean, I don't really think this movie is for everyone, because apparently most people fucking hate this movie because they think it's boring, because it's not a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie with explosions and Spider-Man. You can call this a setup for the second half of this video.
Cringe. But, keep going.
Yeah, I think the first, the 9/10 of this movie are really comfy, and I like the murder in the last 10th, so, yeah. Connor, would you recommend Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes, I would recommend it. It was a great movie. It was good times. Fun, good times. So, Aiden, would you recommend this movie?
Yes, I obviously would. Now we have a second topic to go into real quick. We just wanted to stick this at the end here. But today it was announced that Spider-Man will be leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe due to a fallout during negotiations between Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. So Connor, would you care to go in a little more depth about this dispute or news?
I mean, I read a tiny article, but it basically said Marvel wanted 50-50 profit and budget share for the films, and they decided to pull out of the contract because they couldn't reach an agreement. I'll be honest, I'm taking this with the biggest grain of salt ever. Shit changes fast. Who knows? Sony could have easily just leaked this to try to use as leverage against Marvel. Marvel could have leaked this to use as leverage against Sony. Because they still have 2 more movies they're going to have to make together. And Far From Home, a couple weeks ago, broke the record for Sony Pictures' highest grossing movie. You know, on top of that, the Marvel Cinematic Universe Endgame is the highest grossing movie of all time. Sony has a lot more to lose than to gain.
Yes, they do.
To be honest. I mean, they could take the rug out and reboot Spider-Man again, which no one wants to see, and it's a Sony Pictures movie, so it's probably gonna fucking suck. And I feel like a lot of fans are it's gonna be jarring and confusing for a lot of fans why Spider-Man's changed again, because obviously Spider-Man's got a wider appeal now than it did with the Andrew Garfield series. And on top of that, superhero properties are kind of starting to take a shit. I mean, they're at its peak right now, but it's only going to slope downwards. So in 6 years, when Sony's finally able to put out their new Spider-Man reboot, because it's going to be 2 years between Spider-Man 3, 2 years after that till Spider-Man 4.
And then 2 years to make their movie.
Okay, let's say, in a graceful terms, a year and a half before they can whip out Spider-Man 4. It's just not going to turn out well for them. Or Sony has the option to just pull the rug out from under it and have Into the Spider-Verse be their only series, because that works as a movie.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is leverage right now. I'm guessing Marvel is going to want more of a cut during the next contract re-up, if they end up re-upping, which at this point, I'm going to wait because there isn't any official statements yet. As of now, there's an exclusive story, which might just be complete fucking bullshit for all we know. And on top of that, if it isn't, and I mean with this comic book movie shit, half of it's brief interview quotes, half of them's Amy Pascal's third assistant who said he was going to a meeting with Marvel that didn't go too well or something, or fucking somebody leaked some dumb information because they wanted to sell it to make a bunch of money, and some reporter put it out because it makes a lot of money. Do I necessarily think it's possible? Yes. Do I think Sony's that fucking dumb when they're making all this money? Yes. Do I see... But can I see them, I don't really understand what Marvel's... I mean, maybe I can see Marvel doing, a percentage. I think 50-50 is a little crazy, so it'd probably, if it got negotiated down, I could see it as possible. Marvel's really not doing much. They just said, here's the concept, what we want, and then they put it together. So I get why Sony wouldn't want to do 50-50, and if that is what Marvel's forced to agree on, that's retarded, because Spider-Man's one of the big draws they actually still have to sell their fucking Avengers movies. So doing minor preparation work and stuff and getting roughly 5% of the profits as it's going now isn't that fucking bad, according to the article. This is all shit I read in the article 10 minutes ago. So, really, why they started the deal in the first place, I think, is just to put Spider-Man in Avengers movies, so the Avengers movies make more money, and they have the rights to do that. Yeah. Marvel already owns merchandising, so they're going to make more money merchandising out the crap that actually sells rather than a crappy fucking movie no one wants to see. Yeah. Every facet of it, it would just make sense for them to somehow come to an agreement. Because Sony just had the highest grossing Sony film, which granted, I don't know how Homecoming stacked up against Amazing Spider-Man 2, but if I'm not mistaken, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the previous best, so I mean, I guess they could make a run on that. But on top of that, with Spider-Verse doing so well and everything, I don't know. I feel like Sony would just kind of be shooting themselves in the foot to reboot the franchise. And I feel like at this preliminary phase, 4 years out from when the contract officially elapses and Spider-Man 4 is out in theaters,
what if they
really
don't
hard to
reboot it
actually
though?
say something.
What if they keep Tom Holland and just merge him in with the Venomverse?
I mean, the article also claimed Marvel was considering putting some of the Spider-Man universe films in their universe, so that's a big reason I think this leak is bullshit. They were considering co-producing other Spider-Man universe films to put in to the MCU and 50-50 produce. That's why I'm thinking this article's absolute bullshit.
That's pretty suspect.
Once I read that, I was like, no, because they don't get any benefit from doing the fucking Tombstone movie, you know? If Sony wants to do a shitty Tombstone movie, it's their fucking...
The Aunt May movie?
Yeah, I don't think Marvel Studios is going to produce a fucking Aunt May movie. Because that's going to start ruining their brand reputation, and having Aunt May stand there in the back of the Avengers isn't going to do anything.
People were posting some of the old Sony leaks today, but I forgot how funny they are. There was one from Amy Pascal where she said apparently the idea was being talked about at Sony where they'd make an Amazing Spider-Man spin-off starring Carnage, and Emma Stone was going to be Carnage.
That would actually make sense in context of the comics. In Ultimate Spider-Man, when Gwen Stacy gets eaten by Carnage, she comes back as like a clone thing, but she's got Carnage powers and shit.
Yeah, but imagine the CGI budget turning a frog into a monster.
Wouldn't that just make it easier? No, the budget's the fucking same. It's like, alright, Emma Stone, suit up, and she puts on the green spandex with the ping pong balls, and she starts running around.
They don't even have to put the spandex on her. She's already green. They just got to put the balls on her.
Yeah, and that's if they even decide to mocap her and not just completely CG animate it. I suspect, I don't know what happened with Venom. I do believe I have the behind-the-scenes features from when I was drunk and bought it for $7 on Vudu. You know, because I'm great with money. Let's see if I have the behind-the-scenes features. But I'm curious to see if... I'm guessing they just ping-pong suited his ass into it, to be fully honest with you. Or I don't even think they probably used the ping-pong suit.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably full CGI.
Deleted
I really doubt Tom Hardy would be down to run around in the ping-pong suit.
Venom, designing Venom. Here we go. Let's play the featurette. No, I don't think it's true. I think it's actually possible that Sony accidentally self-leaked this as a bargaining tool, because it would be kind of dumb for Marvel to, because Sony's paying for the fucking movies, and they're still making a percentage, and they're putting Spider-Man in their Avengers movies, and no offense, I mean, maybe they can build these characters like Captain Marvel and shit into the next Iron Man. Quality aside, Black Panther and Captain Marvel might sell as the next Iron Man. Potentially. I'm not saying this could happen. But why would you take a character that's been bigger than fucking Iron Man since before Iron Man and throw him away over a contract dispute? It just seems retarded to me. I can see Sony at least, you know, playing the cards close to the check and blackmailing them, but especially when you just got the X-Men and shit, like, they probably want all the characters they can get rather than just, like, I don't know. I guess they can have the Fantastic Four. Hopefully they can start figuring out a way to sell the Fantastic Four again 20 years after anyone's given a shit about the Fantastic Four. Because Marvel literally sabotaged the Fantastic Four. But I mean, we could see something like that maybe. I don't know. I think this whole thing's insane. So Aiden, do you have any other thoughts on the whole?
I don't know. I think Sony is stupid enough to actually go through it, but I think by the time these next two MCU movies, MCU Spider-Man movies roll around, they'll have given up on that idea and they'll just continue to be little Marvel bitches, you know, be Marvel's bitch.
Probably.
I wouldn't put it past them to try to re-sign Tom Holland and just continue the series without the MCU.
They could just make a Spider-Man movie every year. Here's what I'm thinking.
I wouldn't put that
I'm
past
saying Call of Duty style.
Aunt May.
No, here's
Aunt
what
May
I'm saying.
too.
Stop. They're going to realize sooner or later that other than Spider-Man and Venom, you're not going to sell anything Spider-Man related on its own. I'm sorry to say, because Venom's the only one that looks enough like a superhero that people actually watch it. No one's watching a Green Goblin. No one's watching Aunt May. Black Cat, they're like, why am I watching this Catwoman movie by Marvel?
What about my favorite Spider-Man villain, Rhino?
That's not happening either. But
what's wrong with Rhino? A man in a big gray cartoon rhino suit who runs into things really hard?
Just let me explain what happens. Okay. So we hit, what's 4 years from now? 2023. The last Spider-Man's out. Marvel doesn't have the rights anymore. 2024, you make Amazing Spider-Man 3. Right? You continue that franchise. 2024, Spider-Man 4 comes out. And 2025, Spider-Man Homecoming 5 comes out conveniently with no reference to the MCU. And then 2026, you have Into the Spider-Verse 3 come out. and then 2027 you have Amazing Spider-Man 4 come out. You see how the trend goes? So you just have a different Spider-Man franchise. It's so fucking confusing already that I wouldn't put it past Sony.
Honestly,
to just milk the
that
fucking
would probably
franchise.
work out pretty well for Sony. I mean, people would probably get sick of Venom pretty quick, and that franchise would die.
Oh no, you just toss out the Venom same year as another Spider-Man movie. You figure, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? I feel like in the next 10 years we could have 10 Spider-Man movies if Sony really plays their cards right.
Yeah.
Mainline, about 15 if you consider the Venom movies that come out every 2 years interwoven into that.
Yeah, they'll probably find some other Spider-Man
Maybe
character
16,
that halfway
17
kicks.
if they can toss Carnage into one, you know.
Actually, you know what they'd probably start doing?
Woody Allen.
I think you're really missing one of the things.
What's
There's
that?
all the alternate universe Spider-Mans. They could have them coming
Gwen
out
Stacy
every half a
movie.
year. You could have
Gwen Stacy in November.
Yep, you have Spider-Gwen movie, half every year. And then 6
years.
months after the Spider-Gwen movie comes out, you have a Spider-Man movie. You got a fucking Venom movie coming out.
Then
you
the
got
Amazing Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2099. Well, you gotta make them all slightly. You gotta pick the more majorly different ones. Noir got popular because of
I don't know if he got popular. I don't know.
recognizable because of whatever.
Just
Into
make
the
it
Spider-Verse.
confusing. Just make it the most confusing thing
They can
ever.
make like a web show version of Spider-Ham.
Yeah. No,
Have that on YouTube.
Sony animation or Sony movie.
And whatever that
Streaming
fucking little
service.
anime girl Spider-Man was, they can do a show about that or
If you
something.
thought there's a lot of little Spider-Man girl hentai now, just wait till the live-action movie series comes out. And then you have the big crossover Spider-Verse where it's Andrew, Toby, Tom, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man 2099,
Yep.
and Miles Morales. Oh, you forgot they could make
Oh,
the Miles
yeah,
Morales
yeah.
series.
Fuck.
Takes place 5 years in the future.
Yep.
But then you have the Amazing Spider-Man Miles Morales, you have Spider-Man Homecoming Miles Morales, and you have Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yep. You're true. You're right.
You have to,
Plus the occasional Carnage movie.
and they're all directed and overseen by one of the most experienced filmmakers, director of Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 and 500 Days of Summer, Mark Webb.
Do you think they picked Mark Webb just because of the name?
I would say Amy Pascal looked through the list of directors. They're like, here are the directors, and they're like,
It's like Martin Scorsese and fucking John Carpenter and Stanley Kubrick, and then she's like, I want the one with the spider name.
it's like Stanley Kubrick was actually revived due to controversy.
And he wants to make Spider-Man movies.
He wants to make blockbuster Spider-Man franchise based Spider-Man.
2001: A Spider Odyssey.
Quentin Tarantino wants to make franchise Spider-Man movies every 6 months for the rest of his life. The only stipulation is he has to sneak feats in there all the time.
He directs all the Spider-Gwen movies, and she's in a costume all the way down except below the ankles. And whenever she swings with her feet out in front of her.
It's like, why does she have no shoes? It makes her sticky or something. Stop it, you're cancelled.
And
That's what he'd say.
And Spider-Gwen's played by Uma Thurman.
Yeah, I like it.
Did you know Uma Thurman's daughter was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Which one was she?
She was the one who drove off in the car. She was one of the Manson family. She drove off in the car while the other three went and got massacred. That's Uma Thurman's daughter,
I
yeah.
thought Uma Thurman hated Quentin Tortellini now. Because she got a
something like
concussion
that.
on Kill Bill 2.
Yeah, I remember hearing about
Maybe
that a
she
little bit.
changed her mind. Or something, I don't know.
I don't know, her daughter was in Stranger Things Season 3 too, but I haven't watched that pile of shit.
Yeah. That's funny. The man who made her mother's feet famous.
Her mother's disgusting man feet that are in every scene of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
I'm not into feet, but Uma Thurman's are very gross.
Yeah.
Like excessively.
Witchy.
At least Margot Robbie has like normal feet.
Normal looking,
Where if I
yeah.
was like a foot fetishist, I could be like, oh, those are nice feet. Uma Thurman's are like hulking
We should
Bigfoot
just
feet.
call this Drunkview Feats and Spider-Man movie franchise.
Oh, fuck. Well, I think that kind of wraps up everything unless you got anything else.
No.
Okay.
Quentin Tortellini, Spider-Gwen.
Damn, this is
Spider-Man franchise films.
This one's gonna be a project. This is the longest one we've done in a while.
Yeah. Longest one.
Alright,
If we had the camera, picture that, it'd be like 3 fucking hours long.
Oh yeah, with the camera it was so much easier.
With the
yeah.
camera, we just
Once I start
ramble
getting
on for
paid, we
4
gotta get a
hours.
camera.
Yeah. Once I actually start making more money. 'Cause
Well, the
of-
camera one,
my
it was so
raise
much
on it.
easier to ramble on camera because we'd have fun doing vape tricks and have to stop because we were doing vape tricks and doing
Yeah.
stupid shenanigans
Well,
like
it
chugging
also
beers.
felt
and-
like it was, yeah. Part
It
of
felt
the
more natural,
spectacle
too,
was
yeah.
pounding it back. Now I feel like I take 3 shots and then I'm like, okay, let's just get this fucking
drunk enough.
drunk enough. Stretching the definition of drunk view.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye. I love you.
I'm gay.
I'm gayer.
I'm gay.